The Board of Selectmen's meeting today is September 19th. If we will all stand to pledge allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. On tonight's agenda, first of all, the board will be reviewing its minutes. Then we will have entertain a guest tonight, Lisa Brochu, representing the Heritage Day Committee. We will be discussing tax title property slated for auction. We'll be discussing the aggregation energy plan with Colonial, which we discussed 2 weeks ago. We'll be looking at a review of street sign approval. We'll be also reviewing progress report from the Town Manager Review Act Committee. I attended, so I will speak to that. We will be motioning or entertaining a motion to appoint a personnel board member. We will be reviewing an application for a 5K road race, and we will be reviewing a Constellation Energy agreement, which is for municipalities. There is also a possibility of other subjects that may come up through the meeting. At the conclusion of that, the board will enter an executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Exception 3, to discuss strategy sessions with respect to collective bargaining if the chair declares an open meeting will have a detrimental effect in the town's bargaining position. At the conclusion of the executive session, the board will adjourn. We will open the meeting for adjournment only. So, that being said, gentlemen, we have minutes to approve. Could I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the regular session minutes from September 5th and the executive session minutes from September 5th, August 8th, and August 22nd as written.
Second.
Net unanimous action of the board. Okay, next on the agenda, I'd like to invite Lisa Brochu up for the Heritage Day, which used to be Heritage Day Homecoming. So it's evolved.
Oh, you do have.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for letting me come in and promote Heritage Day. So Heritage Day is set for Saturday, September 30th. Once again, we'll be having the Historical Society will be hosting a craft and vendor fair on the town common. Weather permitting, I'm a little worried with all these hurricanes coming through that we have to luck out some year and have nice weather. So typically we would have the fair on the town common. In the event of bad weather, we have the town hall reserved, so we'll do it down in the main room down there. But we'll be making that decision prior to with watching the forecast and make sure that, see what decision needs to be made ahead of time. Just a kind of overall of some of the events that are going to take place. What's really nice is it's become not just the craft vendor fair with the Historical Society, but it's kind of become a town-wide event where other groups and organizations are hosting their own things going on. So we have the United Parish. There's once again, they're changing it up a little bit. They're doing a vintage antique collectible yard sale. And they will also have their grills going, so they'll be selling lunch, grilled lunch, hamburgers, hot dogs, sausage sandwiches for anybody who's out that wants to take advantage of that, and the prices are real reasonable. 9 to 1 will be the library book sale. Again, they usually have that right on their grounds of the library, and they have great deals with used books and whatnot. 10 to 1, the fire station's having their open house, and that's a great opportunity to families that are out to go to the fire station and check it out, bring the kids to see the trucks, and they're open to that. 10 to 2, the VFW is having their car show, as they do on the Tuesdays that they do it. They're going to host it on Heritage Day, so that'll be from 10 to 2 at the VFW grounds. 10 to 2 is also the Historical Society Craft Vendor Fair, as I said, on the town common or town hall, weather permitting. We have approximately 29 booths, so we'll be having crafters, vendors. What's really nice is we also have a lot of our group organizations that are coming and having like informational booths to promote their organizations and discuss their services that they offer. So we have actually The DPW is coming down, they're setting up an information booth. So they'll be down there, people can come down and ask them questions, get information, whatever they need. We have the Bloomer Girls, the Upton Grange, the Men's Club is gonna be down there as well, the Women's Club, Council on Aging, Cub Scouts, Historical Commission, Friends of the State Forest. So we're really excited to incorporate them as well as just the crafters. You know, it's really nice that these groups are out there to promote their services to the community. And we'll also be having face painting. We have a children's entertainer, Alyssa Coates. She's fabulous. She's actually part of a band. She's a children's entertainer, but she's also part of a band, and they've performed. We've seen them over at the Kiwanis Beach, one of their concerts 2 years ago. So she'll be with us again this year. And then at 12:30, we have Johnny Diamond. I don't know if you haven't had the pleasure to hear him. He's fantastic and just sings a nice, he'll be doing an hour performance, sings a nice variety of adult music. If you're into Elvis and, you know, Perry Como and all them, he's great. We have pony rides scheduled at 12, again, weather permitting, from Ridge Valley Stables. So hopefully, like I said, the weather will cooperate for us. We have, if you've been down there in the past, Chickadee the Clown. I won't say who she is, but she's wonderful. She comes down and she's just a great addition to our event. She just comes around and talks with the kids, and she sometimes does the little balloon animals and whatnot. So she's wonderful. And the Niagara hand pump and the fire truck was also going to be down somewhere in the vicinity, so they can check that out. And then to end the day, 6 to 8, the Bloomer Girls are sponsoring a Heritage Senior Dance at the Upton Center on Farm Street. And that will be, there's no ticket sale, it's just, if anybody's interested, they can contact the Upton Center and they'll give them information, but it's from 6 to 8, and they're gonna have music, dancing, coffee, and light refreshments. So if you can't get in touch with them, just go down. I'm sure they'd be happy to see anybody that wants to go enjoy some fun way to end the afternoon. So.
Well, congratulations. First of all, there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into this. I hope you had assistance. I know the
Yes.
Bloomer Girls are very proactive on this, and you get support there as well.
We get support. I mean, everybody that's involved, we've kind of all collaborate together, you know, the United Parish, like, just, you know, so we do this on the same day, and it becomes the Heritage Day event. So like I said, it's not just the Historical Society craft fair. It's a lot of the other things that we hope people will go out and enjoy. I also know that something will be planned at the Heritage Park. I don't have all the details on what that will be, but I know, I was told they will do something down there. But they're also gonna be on the Common too, so they'll let people know. But Seema Kenny, who's my co-chair for the Craft and Vendor Fair, yes, we've been doing this for a number of years now, and it's just nice to really build, you know, we're hoping to build on it and get more town involvement with the groups and whatnot. You know, because it's a nice way for people, not only just to be out there and see the crafters and vendors and, you know, but the town services that are out there for the community, so fingers crossed for a nice day, because I'm a little worried with all these hurricanes coming up, that we
We'll be
don't want to end up
optimistic.
with another rainy, you know, where we have to, if it's so bad, cancel, or, you know, we will be in the town hall, but
Do you have to be a senior to go to the senior ball? Because I don't want to leave Gary.
I'm going, just so
Gary-
you know.
Gary can go? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right,
Still
see?
trying to figure out who Johnny Diamond is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a performance you don't want to miss. He's really good. He's got his own following, but, you know, people, he's a really wonderful attraction to the day. But no, you don't, I mean,
Okay.
I'm going.
You're certainly not, so,
And-
okay. Oh.
I will-
A silly question, is this on the website, social media? Can we get it on there?
I
Do we have a
talked-
social media site?
Yeah, I spoke to Glenn just before when I came in too about, because I think we had submitted something to run on the Upton cable, so we're gonna double check that. But we have the signs out, we have flyers out, we have it, was in the crier, also on the Upton Historical Society Facebook page, you can go on there too, but,
Great. Okay, any comments,
No,
gentlemen?
I know it's a great event. I've attended it the past couple of years.
thank you, yeah, it is.
Is there anything you need from us or anything we can help you with? Or?
Just come.
Okay.
Bring the family. It's start, yeah, a little prayer to the, sun gods that they come out and are with us for that day. But no, it's a nice afternoon. If you've had the opportunity to see it outside when it's all set up on the common and the common is full, it's a really nice visual to see too. It just really kind of, if we have to be in the town hall, that works too, but it's
I
nice
think it rained
being
last
out. Oh, we've had,
Last 3 years, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. Time for
So-
a break.
Time for a break, but I don't know. So, but no, it's a good day, so, we encourage families to come and they can go check out the car show too, so,
Great.
thank you.
Anything, Steve?
Yeah,
no,
thank you, we
good luck.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Lise.
Hope it's well
Thank you,
attended.
thank you.
Thanks, Seema Forrest, too.
Excuse me?
Thanks, Seema Forrest.
I will, she couldn't be here tonight. but
Okay.
She's a huge
Yeah.
part of this, so thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. So Heritage Day, September 30th, Saturday, it's an all-day event, and there's multiple activities, so Lisa did a great job of presenting many of the events that are going to take place that day. Next on our agenda is the manager report, and I know you have quite a bit, so I'll turn it over to you at this point.
Great, thank you. So let me start by saying that this manager's report is probably a little bit different than the previous ones that I've provided, in that I want to use these reports in the future to help inform and provide timely and accurate information to the public. So some of the things that are in this report we're going to talk about tonight, for example, like municipal aggregation. But given that we have these 2 new social media sites that are actually listed in the town manager report, we plan to use those social media sites to push information to the community so they don't have to necessarily go to the website to find this information. Many of you have seen that this past weekend we have a new website, a new Twitter site. It's at Upton Town, and then ironically, Emergency Management came out with their own Twitter site this past weekend as well, and that is at Upton Emerge MGT, so Upton Emergency Management. So you can follow both of those Twitter sites whenever you feel like it's necessary. Moving forward on the town manager report, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Kiwanis Beach. It seems like there's been some information that's been out there. I know the Telegram Gazette, they had a really good article, I thought, speaking of the challenges that municipalities face when it comes to meeting ADA and Architectural Access Board requirements. So in my report, I talk a little bit about what transpired at Kiwanis Beach and the fact that, we all know that there was a walkway that was constructed as part of the upper parking lot project. What ended up happening is we're still trying to figure out, was there a poor design? Was there something that happened out in the field with maybe the construction aspect of this? We're still investigating that, but as you all know, we cannot use the upper parking lot until we remedy the grading issue at the beach. That being said, I wanted to be clear that in order to repair the walkway, the cost is slated at about $50,000. To the credit of the Recreation Commission, they went ahead, recognizing that they had this one item that they had to remedy, and did a full audit of the entire Kiwanis Beach area. And so the Center for Living and Working, they were the consultant, as you all know, that did this work. They provided the town with a transition plan. And there are a number of things that have to be corrected down at the area. The lower parking lot, inaccessible restrooms, so on and so forth. And so in its totality, it's about $225,000 to make what is now the Kiwanis Beach area fully ADA compliant. And so I just want that to be very clear. And of that $225, $50,000 is to remedy the walkway from the upper parking lot down to the soccer fields. And so the commission is working with CPC and others to identify proper funding that we can take to town meeting so that we can have the upper parking lot open for summer of 2018. Moving on, just some good information that was provided today. The Department of Revenue has certified the town's new growth at $365,741. And so that is important to know because the projection was around $250. So this is a little over $100,000 more than we anticipated. So that's exciting and encouraging news. I also left a graph of our new growth over the previous fiscal years, going back to 2010, where our new growth was only at 160,000. So you can see it progressively get better over time. Our auditors will be in next week, so many of you may or may not know, but annually the town has to be audited. So we have external auditors that come in. They're going to be in next week to work with our finance team on our business practices and some of our finances. Additionally, next week, the police department is going through re-accreditation. So as you all know, the police department was accredited a few years ago. Every 3 to 5 years, they have to be re-accredited. So the accreditation team will be with the police chief and his staff next week to review their policies and procedures to ensure they continue to meet those standards. The Board of Health is hosting, will begin hosting flu clinics starting in the coming weeks. These flu shots are free. If you do have an insurance card, it would be helpful on their part to bring your insurance card. It allows the town to get reimbursed for providing this vaccine. Additionally, the Board of Health will also be holding a public hearing on September 21st to discuss and deliberate on possible amendments to a few different health regulations that they have. And those I have listed just in short. They're considering definition of a bedroom, 2-compartment septic tank requirements, vent requirements, potential prohibition on levelers in septic tanks, body art regulations, burying of wood waste, and other Title V procedures. And then my last item on the town manager's report speaks to municipal aggregation. I'm not going to speak to that right now because I know we're going to have a lengthy discussion about municipal aggregation. So again, you'll be the first to see the town manager's report, and then we'll follow up and we'll send this out via social media each day after the Board of Selectmen meeting.
Very well said. Any questions? Gary?
No, I think I really like this new outlay, or this outline that you give. I hope it does help prevent some misinformation, and if you wouldn't mind reaching out to Jen Doyle. I think the way she titled an article really got a lot of people, I got the rumor mill going on the Kiwanis Beach. It was titled $350,000 for 2 parking lots, or 2 parking spots. So,
Yeah, I can do that, definitely.
so I think
Right. It's important to note there that there's really 3 parts to that project. It's not just the parking spots, it's the ramp, not just the ramp or the parking spots, it's also the building. So there's a couple of different components there. And unfortunately, it's all getting lumped into one.
Right.
There is one other interesting thing here. I see North Main Street will be closed for Heritage Day.
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
So it might be something of interest. I didn't realize that.
One of the things, sometimes contrary to common impressions or opinions, we try very hard to disseminate and be transparent with information. At this point, all our meeting agendas and the topics to be discussed are disclosed. Wherever possible, we are going to use social media, as town manager stated, to disseminate information so people are better informed. We have a hard time. Candidly, I had an individual that I was communicating with this weekend, and the individual, and we will talk about the aggregation plan, it was voted at a town meeting. That means the Board of Selectmen are obligated to carry out the wishes of the town meeting. That individual, to use a softer way, said that I was pushing it toward people and forcing it. It's not the case. So the more information we get out, the better people understand how government works and its processes. So I commend you, and Sandy, I know you're involved in this, and Kelly in the back as well. With all of you working together, hopefully people will be able to get better access to the government and understand why things are done. Sometimes it's hard to explain, and it gets confusing, and people sometimes misinterpret. So kudos to everyone on that one. So, okay, anything else? Derek? No? Okay. Next on our agenda is to talk about tax title properties. Briefly stated, the treasurer collector has properties that are for consideration for auction. The Board of Selectmen will review this, and we will make a determination based on which properties we feel should go to auction and which should not, and there's background on each. So rather than extend it further on my own, I'll turn it over to you, Derek. You've been involved with the treasurer collector, and the board is briefed on this. Again, individually with Derek, we all met one-on-ones, so we have a good overview of this, but for the general public dissemination.
Sure. So an overview, the treasurer collector has identified 6 parcels that he was hoping to bring to auction in late September. But a procedure that we like to follow is to disseminate these parcels amongst our various boards and committees and our departments to ensure that these parcels are prime real estate for auction. Sometimes the DPW may want to retain a parcel for easement or maybe for drainage purposes. Sometimes Conservation Commission may find a parcel that connects to various trails and may want to maintain for open space, so on and so forth. So we asked the treasurer collector if he could delay the auction so that we could, go through these parcels of land. So we have more information in front of you this evening. 28 Hartford Ave North, as many of you may know, is a structure sitting on this parcel. That parcel, we believe, should be auctioned. Right now, the town is paying for the insurance on that, and so the sooner we can stop paying the insurance, we can get it back on the tax rolls for development, the better we all be. So recommending that one, and School Street as well. Although School Street is a landlocked parcel of land, we believe that there's some interest in auctioning that as well. The Westboro Road property is a large parcel of land that has been asked, Conservation Commission has asked us to reserve, to hold that parcel. Others have asked us to reserve that parcel for future use of the town, whether it's open space, recreation, cemetery usage, we're not quite sure, but we believe that the town should maintain that for some type of future use. So the two that I recommend are 28 Hartford Ave North and School Street be auctioned, Westboro Road held for future use, and the last 3 parcels, Station Street, Milford Street, and Oak Drive, we asked our conservation agent to go out and take a look at all the parcels, and those 3 in particular, he said, were all over 90% wetlands. And so therein lies the reason why they're under tax title, and because there's really no purpose, there's no use for them, there's no development opportunities there. So we don't recommend those go to auction, because quite frankly, we don't think that they're gonna yield any dollars.
Okay.
General, Gary, any comments?
No, sir.
Steve?
No.
No. As I said, all 3 of us have been briefed individually with the town manager, who's had communication with the treasurer collector. So at this point, we have before us a decision as to approval of 28 Hartford North, School Street, and the Westboro Road we would not touch, just 28 Hartford North and School Street to go to auction. Is there any debate on this at this point?
No, sir.
No, seems
Could I-
like a good idea to move forward.
Okay, could I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we place the following properties up for auction: 28 Hartford Ave and 0 School Street.
Second?
It's unanimous action of the board. Thanks, Derek. Okay, next is the aggregation plan, which, no matter what we do, is going to create some confusion here. But let me give an overview, and then I'll turn it over to the town manager again. Basically, an aggregational plan was voted by the voters over 2 years ago at a town meeting, and they approved the town through the Board of Selectmen, to take action to contract with a company to provide energy to the town of Upton at a rate which we all believe and know will be lower than the present rate that they are getting from their present supplier, primarily National Grid. The difference is the state mandates this, that the energy offer is given to all residents, but they have to, if they do not want it, they have to opt out. They do not opt in. That means they have to return a postcard or a letter or some notification that says, I do not want to participate in this. So simply put, every resident's going to get notification that they are going to be signed up if they do not respond. The advantages are that your rates are lower, your bills come in just as they used to, you don't see any difference. You have the ability to opt out at any time, so should you find ABC company comes to you and says they can give a lower rate, you simply opt out of the plan and say, I don't want to be in the aggregate anymore, and you go with your own private source. This is being done by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts through the legislature. This whole package was put together. And Mr. Taylor's here. I know he's been spearheading it on behalf of Upton with Colonial and the aggregation. The gentleman was in, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, presented it to us. We have, I believe, a drop dead of Thursday.
That's right.
So we need to make a decision tonight if we're willing to go with this. We are not naive. We know there are people that are going to say, well, why is the town doing this to me? And I'm not in favor of it. But we also tend to think of the 8,000 or whatever number of homes that are in Upton, the majority will find this acceptable and beneficial to them. So we look at the population at large versus a minority of people that might have dissent. So Derek, I'll turn it over to you at this point. And
So again, just to summarize, Colonial Power Group, they went out to bid on Thursday, September 14th. They will get their final pricing this coming Thursday. So it's on that day, we need to make a decision of whether or not we want to sign a multi-year agreement with Colonial Power to provide this fixed rate to all of the residents here in the community. I can say after talking, and Bill's here as well, that the current rate that they're paying is about, it's a little less than 9.5 cents per kilowatt hour. One thing we do know is that we're heading into the winter months, and those rates are going to continue to climb. So this is an opportunity to lock in our rates from anywhere from 24 to 36 months, for example. And I've talked to Colonial Power. You know, we've heard the concerns of some of the other communities like Plymouth who've may have suggested they could have done a better job with public outreach and information. And so we will work together with them to do a public outreach campaign to the days of October 1 to 31, because this pricing will take effect November 1st. So we'll spend the month of October doing outreach. The Colonial Power Group, they will send mailers to each one of their customers, explaining the process, explaining what's going to happen, and giving them the opportunity to opt out if they choose to. But I would say that from what I know, after working in Plymouth, there's a couple of things that I think are really going to drive the cost of energy in the future. Vermont Yankee is a nuclear power plant which is closing, I think, in 2018. We know that's closing for a fact. The Plymouth power plant, nuclear power plant, is closing in 2019. So when we think about supply and demand, there's going to be not as much supply and probably a lot more demand, and so that's going to drive up some of the costs. So I think that this is a good thing that the town locks in some type of electric rate moving forward.
is it estimated and I know we can only estimate this, but the last number I heard was it could be up to around 10% reduced rate over the present supplier. 10% cost. It's hard to tell, you know, but it's obviously less than, fair to say.
We expect that the cost would be less.
Less than, yes. So this is before the board, gentlemen. I'll open it for debate. Gary, your
I just
opinion?
have one question. Mr.
Please, yeah.
Derek, is there a, like a price difference between a 24 versus a 36-month contract, or is it the same rate?
Yeah, it's, so if you choose a longer term program, the rate will be less.
Okay.
You know, and I'll turn to Bill if he wants to speak to some of the other rates as it relates to green energy. So that's another option that we could consider purchasing green energy as well, which is a higher cost to green energy. Bill and I were talking before the meeting started, and he's going to reach out to Colonial Power to see if there's some way that we could lock in a good rate, but then also offer as an option folks who want to choose green energy for an option as well. So it's something else we're working on.
Anything else?
Yeah, what are just the term limits, or what are our options?
Anywhere from 6 to 36 months.
Steve?
No other questions.
The recommendation right now by Colonial is to consider really like a 24-month term. 'Cause that'll get us to the next 2 winters, which will be very high.
Okay, my opinion is I'm in favor of it, and I know there will be some complexities, but the bottom line is, to your point, with 2 nuclear plants going offline within the next 2 years, and energy doesn't get cheaper, unfortunately, it's probably going to cost more. We have a number of initiatives in town that we've been very responsible with. Again, Mr. Taylor involved with the solar energy and so forth. I am in favor of it. I think the end result is citizens will benefit from it. And again, they are not being obligated. They have an opportunity to opt out at any point. So I'm a proponent of it. So unless there's any further debate, I would ask for a motion to go forward and authorize the town manager to execute the contract.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to authorize the town manager to enter into a contract with Colonial Power beginning November 17th for 24 months.
I second the motion.
That's unanimous action of the board.
Just a further note there, if there were a situation and we were, or a customer were 2 years into the contract or 6 months into the contract and they weren't pleased, they could always leave and go back to National
Oh,
Grid
sure.
or whoever they wanted to use.
Mhm.
So it doesn't mean that the individual customer is not locked in for that period of time. So hopefully that's,
Right, and some customers will pay close attention to their electric bills and their electric rates, and if they see that they can potentially maybe during the summer months get a better rate, they may choose to opt out and opt back in during the winter months.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is the street sign requests. There are multiple. The first one is from Mr. and Mrs. Trainer on East Street. They live on a very bad corner. Anyone that commutes East Street knows where it is. They're asking for a blind driveway. I do know of a very serious accident that happened there with an Upton citizen a few years back, so very familiar with that. It's been approved by both DPW Director and Chief of Police. We have another request here for Jennifer Dwinell I'm looking for the language on the sign. She's looking for a horse crossing sign, slow down traffic for horses at 154 West River Street. She's stating vehicles go too fast, and she wants them to be aware that at any given time there could be horses crossing the road. That, again, went before the DPW Director and the Chief of Police, both who wrote approval or acknowledged approval to it. So we have those 2 street sign requests, and it's before the board. So Gary, any comment?
No, sir.
Steve?
none.
Then we'll accept motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to place a blind driveway sign north and south of 90 East Street.
Second the motion.
Unanimous action of the board.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to post a horse crossing sign at 154 and 158 West River Street.
Second the motion.
That's unanimous action of the board. Okay, next on the agenda is a report from the Town Manager Review Act Committee. The board received a report which was submitted to us last week. We received it just before the meeting. Didn't have time to read it and acknowledge or go through any of it. I did appear before their committee last week, and basically because the town meeting is November, we closed the warrant on the 29th of this month. We need time for legal to review the document. So I asked them to please complete by October 13th, which means we have a placeholder in for that committee. Normally we'd ask for 29th, but in fairness, we're trying to provide as much time as possible for the committee to get the information to us. And then at that time, we will send to council and prepare for the special town meeting in November. And I went over that, and I went over a few particulars relative to obligations to the open meeting law and decorum as well. So is there any comment to the information we received last week? Gary, you want to?
No, there's a lot of information here. It seems like the committee's doing their due diligence. I'm just waiting to see the final report and recommendations.
Yes, awful lot of information to review. Obviously, they put a lot of work into it. And I believe we're scheduled to all meet on the 28th of this month for another update.
I don't know. I asked for I asked for an agenda to be posted right after the last meeting. I'm still waiting. So hopefully we get it soon, because, I mean, if I get it 48 hours before, I may not be able to attend, and I want to be sure to schedule the time. So I made a commitment I would be at every meeting. So we'll see. If we're supposed to be there, I don't know about it. Okay, I won't ask any of the members that are here tonight, but I think that's a clear message. Okay, we have a motion to appoint an individual to the Personnel Board. I know at the board's request, we asked the town manager to do a screening interview, and I'm not really sure if the Personnel Board had a chance to meet the individual? No? Okay. Derek?
I had a great conversation with Mr. Van Ralton, I think is how you say his last name.
Van Ralton. Yep.
And I think he'll be a great addition to the Personnel Board. He brings a lot of experience and background, especially when it comes to municipal personnel relations. He's a police officer for the Hopkinton Police Department and has sat on hiring boards for the police department, has sat on a number of different contract negotiations for the police department. So he certainly understands the challenges that we face as municipalities when it comes to our personnel and unions and things of that nature. So great conversation, and I would recommend his appointment.
Could I ask as a courtesy, before we move that with the Personnel Board, I'd like him to at least meet with them so they could have an opportunity to meet with the individual. That's usually protocol.
We can do that. The Personnel Board is meeting tomorrow evening.
I don't-
First meeting, they haven't had a meeting yet.
Okay, can we see if we can ask Mr. Van Ralton if he could make it?
Yes.
Okay? Just out of courtesy.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks. And we'll defer that to the next meeting. Not that he's not a viable candidate. I've known Scott since he was a young man. He certainly has the talent, for sure. We have a review for a 5K road race application before us. And this is from the George L. Wood VFW Post 5594. They want a 5K road race on October 7th, 2017 for a 9 a.m. start. This is not a first. It starts early on a Saturday morning, and their route is one that they're not on main roads. They usually use the back roads. As a result, it's not interfering with traffic flow per se. And they will have water stations along the course. There will be no paint sprays or confettis or any of those activities, which we looked at a few years ago. So, and we have the DPW and the fire and police have all approved and acknowledged they're comfortable with it. Is there any comment? Gary?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, we'll have a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to allow the VFW to have a 5K road race on October 7th, 2017, starting at 9 a.m.
Second the motion?
That's unanimous action of the board. Okay, last on our agenda for tonight is Constellation Energy. I will turn this over to the town manager. Again, this is the energy agreement for municipalities through Mass Municipal Association. And Derek, if you would, please.
So I'm seeking authorization to enter into an agreement with Constellation Energy for anything exceeding 36 months. Under the general bylaws, Section 11, under Chapter 2, the Chief Procurement Officer has to get authorization from the board for such. That being said, I'll give you a little background on Constellation. So the town, the municipality, we don't buy our energy through the aggregation program that I just talked about. We have a separate contract through the Mass Municipal Association, who uses its buying power for all municipalities to buy energy. And Constellation is a company that we worked with. That contract is expiring the end of October. So I've been in communication with Constellation. They're watching the current rates for municipalities, and so I need some type of authorization to enter into a contract once those rates are favorable to the town. We would expect them to be favorable over the next 4 to 5 weeks.
Gary, questions?
How many months would you like?
Well, again, the term length can be anywhere from 12 to 60 months. As I mentioned earlier, the longer the term length, the more cost savings that we have. Right now, it's not a lot of cost savings, but it can be depending on the volatility of the market in the future. I mean, right now, if we had a 60-month term, we'd save about $2,200. We expect to save more money. There's programs that Mr. Taylor's working on with LED lighting at fire and police stations, so we expect to save more money as well through those additional programs. So again, based upon the pricing that we get, I would suspect it'd be anywhere from 36 to 60 months.
And this is the company that we're currently using.
That's right.
Yep.
And how long have we been with them now? We're finishing up our first 3-year contract with them?
Yes, approximately 2 years.
3.5. 2.5, 2 years. Yeah, it's not a full 3 years, I know that.
Okay.
Any further questions?
No.
No? Okay, there being none, the authorized town manager to enter into contract with Constellation?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to authorize the town manager to enter into a contract with Constellation Energy Agreement for 48 months? Or do you guys want 60?
Second the motion?
It's 48 months, unanimous.
48.
Thank you. Okay, at that time, it fills our agenda. Are there any questions from the audience? Mr. Holman?
Yeah, I'd like to, will you make the rates available on Thursday, what the rates are going to be on Thursday?
For aggregation?
Yes. right.
Yeah, oh, absolutely,
We'll tweak them.
right.
Say that again?
We'll tweak them.
No, I'll put them just on the website.
I'm teasing you.
Tweet,
Okay.
tweet.
Marcia?
Our aggregation contract, why did you decide on 24 months and not 36 if the two, if they were going out on? It would seem we should consider 36.
You made the motion. If you want to answer
Uh,
first.
The reason I picked 24 is because we've never done it before, and I just picked 24. I was worried that if something went wrong, 36 is another year. I figured 24 is something to just to begin with.
Bill Taylor, North Street. Interestingly, there's a blip, 36, it goes up. I don't know what the rationale is, but it turns out the 24-month pricing, and I agree with Jerry that we should enter this, cautiously, but the 24-month pricing is actually less than the 36-month pricing. So it is a benefit to the town to go with the 24-month.
I misunderstood, I thought the 36.
That's typically what happens. I don't understand why there's a blip in this particular pricing, but the town manager is correct. Typically, the longer you go, the cheaper it is. Now, one of the things you do if you do that is if for some reason prices start to dip and you're locked into something for a long period of time, you may not be able to take advantage of that. So there's that issue as well.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, at this time, I asked my colleagues if I could make a statement, and I want to make this very clear. This is my own opinion and is not from the board. But recently, we've had some citizens that have asked for copies of applications and requests to be on the Town Manager Act Committee. And to be very honest, yes, I am upset. I find that highly offensive, not only to the Board of Selectmen in the appointment process, but to the individuals themselves. First of all, to be very clear, the Board of Selectmen does not need applications. I could walk down the street and ask someone if they wanted to be on it, ask my colleagues, and we could appoint without even an application. That is the authority we have. But to be clear, so I'll explain it in more detail, when we received a petition to form a Town Manager Act review, the Board of Selectmen met with some of the petitioners, and it was in agreement that we would have a committee formed. But however, prior to that, I had already had thought of that idea and had approached some people on my own, not the board, just me. So that's why there were some individuals that started to fill out the application ahead of time. But what really bothers me is to even insinuate that some of these people, with the background they have, that you want to pull their application. So I'd like to explain who some of these people are. Richard Desjardins was on the Conservation Commission. He served on the Board of Selectmen for 12 years. When he served, the town of Upton's infrastructure was very small. We hired out our DPW. Our police station was downstairs in the town hall, part of which was a dirt floor. And as far as admin assistance, there was basically none. Joan Varney was a part-time clerk, and God bless her, without her, I don't know where we would have been. Dick also served, at the conclusion of that, Dick came back into town government and has been on the Board of Health for the last 6 years. He has served as an advocate of this town in most everything I know. Mr. Al Holman. Al Holman joined the school committee when the school committee was nearly on probation for being accredited, lacking accreditation. In his tenure, along with the other members of the school committee, we went off probation. We built a new high school, and we built a new elementary school, and the accreditation of the school went up significantly. Mr. Holman also served 6 years on the Board of Selectmen. He now serves in his 6th year on the Board of Health. Alan Rosenfield. Alan Rosenfield is an attorney who's, I'll embarrass him, but he's known for doing pro bono work in the city of Worcester, aside from his general practice. He was on the Finance Committee for 6 years, served on the Board of Selectmen for 6 years, served on the new fire station design and feasibility committee. He also served on the library feasibility committee and was on the Board of, as I say, the Board of Selectmen. Mr. Steve Rackenden served on the school committee for 3 years. And if you like this building we're sitting in, he was an active member of the Town Hall Feasibility and Design Committee, both committees, through their duration. And he also served on the Library Feasibility Committee. Mr. Scott Van Ralton was raised in this town of Upton. He is a sergeant in the Hopkinton Police Department. He's a practicing attorney and served as a Fire EMS advisory member. A solid committee made up of dedicated people. In addition, we had Deb Amarelli, who served, I believe, 6 years on the Personnel Board. There were 3 members that applied from the general public, the only 3, and they were all appointed. So to make an assumption that the members of this committee were not properly vetted before, or for some reason their applications weren't filled out right, I can only construe one answer to that. You were trying to undermine the authority, and why would you do that? What is the purpose of trying to discredit people who have served this town for so many years and are doing their best to bring this town forward? I don't get it. You should be embarrassed. And, you know, all that comes to mind is Attorney Joe Welch with Senator McCarthy, at long last. Honestly, at long last. So let's get over this. Let's move forward instead of going back and trying to go negative, especially when you are one who has not volunteered for anything. That's all I'll say. And I excuse myself if I embarrassed anybody, but I think I was more than direct. It's about time it was said. So at this point, the board's going to go in executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30, and I'll get the an executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 21, Exception Number 3, to discuss strategy sessions with respect to collective bargaining. If the chair declares an open meeting will have a detrimental effect on the town's bargaining position. Robert Fleming, aye.
Gary Darty, aye.
Steve Battalion, aye.
And as a final comment, if anybody would like to come before the board, they are more than welcome at any time. Thank you.